Hello everybody, welcome back to the Media Mementos Extracast. It's me, the guy who runs this, and now for the first time being on here, he's actually the editor, Billy H.L.
Yes, holy crap, wow. I didn't think we'd actually get to this point. I'll be perfectly honest here. Where do I begin with the whole editing thing just to get that out of the way first?
Yeah,
let's just say
let's get that out of the way first.
Yeah, let's just say I was originally like a guest editor, like one-off for all those other things, but apparently my work was so good it went well with not just Trevor here, but pretty much all of the major fans and followers that it came to his decision to hire me on as an official paid editor, so...
That's right. Especially now that, I partially blame his editing for this, but over the past couple of weeks, this channel's been ballooning. We went from, 700 to 800 at the time of recording this in about a week, maybe?
Probably like a week and a half or something, but that's a good estimate, though. Like, wow.
Yeah, I'm looking here on Social Blade. We started last Monday with 696, and at the time of recording this, we're at 800.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I kind of blame, or not blame, because blame's more of a negative, but I partially attribute that to the much better editing. Not trying to insult myself, but editing's not my thing. I mean, my stuff was fine, but fine doesn't really help you get far here on YouTube.
Yeah, unfortunately not, but, on my end, that's great. So, there's that.
Mm-hmm. And hey, like the El Super Beasto review and the Ren and Stimpy Adult Party Cartoon ones are some of the most popular we've ever done, so I kind of could see there's a little bit of a connection there.
Somewhat, maybe, who knows?
But now we're here for episode 3 of our podcast to talk about The Winner, created by Ricky Blitt and Seth MacFarlane. For those who aren't aware, I have this running series on Media Mementos. It's going to be a mini-series because it can't go on forever. Basically talking about how 2006 was the worst year for the Fox TV network. All their new shows they tried ended up failing in one way or another. Except for Till Death, we'll get to that one later, but the rest of them were disasters. And The Winner surprised a lot of people with me actually ending up liking it. Because it's made by Seth MacFarlane, and hot take here, I don't like Seth MacFarlane. Family Guy has never been good. And I don't really like anything he makes, except for when he has limits or other people to tell him no or give him their input, like, say, on some of American Dad or his early stuff on, say, Johnny Bravo. And even then, I don't really like American Dad. It's just, better than Family Guy, especially modern Family Guy. So I, along with many people, thought that I was going to hate it, especially because before reviewing it, I didn't know what this was. Don't forget, I bought these things blind. I saw, this is a Fox screener DVD thing. So when I started doing research for these shows, I'm like, okay, Happy Hour, this thing is taking forever for me to find. Justice, ooh boy, this looks bad. Till Death, ooh, that's a rough story going to bad. And then finally, The Winner, oh crap, it's Seth MacFarlane. Oh, I'm screwed. But upon watching it, I actually ended up watching it more than the required amount of times for the review because I kind of liked it, actually.
Oh, that's amazing, actually. Like, that's actually a very high honor for Seth MacFarlane for, like, on your end especially.
Yeah, and, we'll get into this soon, but I didn't think it was, fantastic, but it was certainly way better than I thought it was going to be. In fact, I actually liked it. And there's a story going with this. I'll get into that later, but let's hear your thoughts and introduction to it all. Because you don't have the screener DVDs.
Yeah, I don't have them. So, when I was hearing wind about this miniseries, I didn't really think about it too much, because, these crappy Fox pilots. Oh, well. And, it was a terrible year for the company. Like, okay, cool, just a bunch of failed pilots. Again. Just nothing but all these shows flopped hard, and seeing stuff like Happy Hour, Vanished, all that other crap, I knew exactly what was going down, but this one, this one stood out to me because, again, I thought it had a really good premise, and honestly, had, well, shoot, I lost track. Basically had some kind of promising setup with the whole idea of this guy is still living with his parents and turns his life upside down when he finds his old childhood crush moving into his neighborhood. And sort of like that redemption thing and realization, like, okay, I'm gonna better myself. But he's still a child, officially growing up, which I actually really find that a very amusing plot line. And again, even with the pilot, like, it gives us a good idea of what the main character is like, and he's still a child at heart, but he's still somewhat likable. Like, he's really doing his best at this point, even though he has all these awkward interactions, but again, you gotta take into account his mentality. And this does lead to some pretty funny, awkward humor, or cringe comedy, if you will, which I rarely see work in sitcoms like this, so I really gotta commend the writers for making it work somehow with this show.
I couldn't agree more, and the biggest thing I think this show really surprised me with was not the humor, but the main character. Because whether you like things like, say, The Cleveland Show or Family Guy, you can't deny that Seth MacFarlane knows how to write one main character. The goofy, oddball, usually lazy, incompetent dad. That's basically his shtick. The Peter Griffins, the Cleveland Browns, the whoever the guy is on American Dad, although he's less so, I think. But Glenn Abbott isn't one of those. I mean, he's lazy, yeah, but he's trying not to be. He's trying to fix himself and get a good life. So right there, that's another little bit that sets him apart. But he's also not stupid. He's more ignorant and sheltered because he hasn't grown up yet. He doesn't know how the world works. And he's not actively hurting people. Like, look at Peter Griffin. He's hurting everybody and destroying their whole lives just by coming into contact with them. But Glenn's trying to make things better, and he's a surprisingly good father figure for the kid.
Oh, definitely. Like, I was actually really impressed with how that whole plot, like, that kind of subplot arc turned out. Because, again, like, this kid has been through some really bad stuff, like, it's implied, and I'm pretty sure if the pilot was picked up, we'd actually learn more about him, but even just, like, on first glance, like, holy crap, like, this guy, Glenn, already made like a good friend, even if it's just with this kid. And again, like, it's almost like a father-son thing, which is, again, something you wouldn't think Seth MacFarlane would do well at all, but somehow they made it work here. And I think, again, if it got picked up, we would have seen some really good progress, and hey, maybe he could have actually been his stepdad.
I think that's where it was going to go in the end. We only got 6 episodes, so we never really got to see the end, but it's kind of clear that's where it was going to go. Though, knowing the way this show writes its episodes, or judging by the ones we've actually ended up seeing episode, I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out like the girl turns out to be a lesbian or something, but they just remain friends, and he goes on to be successful anyways or something. You know they're going to do something to pull the rug out from under us. Or who knows? But I still think
it would have probably been a happy ending, honestly. Like, no matter like what the twist or outcome was, if it was going to be like Hollywood ending or just weird twist, I still think we would have had some kind of optimistic conclusion.
And like, so I'm looking at some of these premises here. We know the pilot because we've seen that, and if you don't know, it's available on YouTube right now because I myself uploaded it on another channel. Here are the premises for the other 5 episodes. The first one that we haven't covered yet, sorry. Discord notification came in and kind of distracted me. Anyways, the first one we haven't covered yet is called The Single Dates. When Allison invites Glenn over for dinner, Glenn is elated until a coworker convinces him that divorcees have urges and he will be expected to put out. Embarrassed by his lack of sexual past and fear that it will drive the love of his life away, Glenn decides to visit a massage parlor to get a quick tutorial before his date with Allison. That's the first one. I think you can kind of tell some of the Seth MacFarlane stuff starting to kick in here.
Oh boy, do I ever.
Episode 3, Broken Home. With Glenn spending more and more time away from home, his parents' marriage starts to unravel. Glenn finds comfort in his new surrogate family, his dream girl Allison, and her son and her boyfriend. Ooh boy. When it becomes obvious he's overstayed his welcome at Allison's, Glenn decides to call his first ever family meeting and get his parents to fall in love with each other all over again. My guess is using his knowledge of 80s TV shows and movies. 4. What happens in Albany stays in Albany. When Allison is unable to accompany Josh on a weekend trip to the state spelling bee in Albany, she asks Glenn to chaperone. Since no one knows them this far from home, Glenn and Josh decide to reinvent themselves. Glenn wears a toupee and becomes Lance Manley, a Studley airline pilot.
Oh no.
While Josh pretends to be a cocky, multiple spelling bee champion.
No.
I'm just gonna say, I don't know. So far, that's the one I want to see most, just to see where that's going.
If there's like anything of like lost media, that's like on my top 10 now.
Then there's Glenn's new friend. When Josh befriends a cool kid at school, Glenn feels abandoned and replaced after he's left out of all the fun. Meanwhile, Glenn runs into trouble when he goes on a trip with a customer from the video store who mistakenly thinks he's gay. Oh no. Oh, I get it. So he thinks this guy is asking him like to be his friend, but he's actually gay and hitting on him. Oh. It sounds like a Modern Family episode. Like, have you seen Modern Family at all?
No, I haven't.
There's an episode called Mystery Date where Matthew Broderick guest stars as this gay guy, and Phil, who's, a straight married man, invites him over to go watch a football game with him, but Matthew Broderick's convinced that it's a date, and it becomes extremely awkward.
That is amazing, dude.
Like, there's a part where Phil accidentally spills the margaritas on him and Matthew Broderick. He's like, I guess we have to take off our shirts now, and Matthew Broderick's like, okay.
Oh.
And this came out way before.
Well, dang.
And then the last one is Hot for Teacher, series finale. When Glenn poses as Josh's quote-unquote dad for a parent-teacher conference, he comes face-to-face with his old homeroom teacher, Miss Burko, who ends up giving him a private, albeit belated, lesson in love. I have no idea what that means, but I'm kind of getting some hints there that it's going to be some Alan Gregory
sex education! Sex education, that's what it is.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's like an Alan Gregory and Gottlieb thing, though, knowing how this show goes.
No, let's not go there, man. Let's not go there.
So, that's what we got, and if you look here, if you guys are looking with me, all of these aired within 3 weeks of each other, and we'll get to that shortly. But we were talking earlier today saying that, the pilot wasn't perfect, but you could tell that they had an idea of where they wanted to go and how to smooth out the issues they had. And, judging by this, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. If they managed to get themselves all fixed up and ready to go for a second season. A second season that never came out.
Which is kind of a shame, honestly, because once again, it seemed like the people knew what they were doing. They had a set cast of characters, a good grasp of what each weird premises were going to be written out. And hey, once again, maybe they could have actually gone above and beyond with some of the arcs too.
And one of the things that I think would have helped really sell this show if it was given the chance to shine, like I said, we'll touch more on that very shortly, is that it's an adult show, but it's got kind of an innocent tone to it all. Like, it does have an adult edge, with all the sex talk and whatnot, but it's not so raunchy that you can't watch it, or something that you'd feel uncomfortable watching with your parents unless they were really cool, like, say, 2.5 Men. Especially, like, with the character of Glenn Abbott, he thinks getting a job at the video store is the highlight of human achievement. And it's not treated like he's an idiot or something. It's more, you're kind of inclined to cheer for him, albeit laugh with him, not at him. And that's kind of rare for an adult show.
It's very childlike, really. It's sort of like, again, like kind of like a twisted coming-of-age story, almost.
And you know, like, this was all based in like the 80s and 90s and stuff, so that was probably intentional, because those stories were huge during those times. The growing up, coming of age, finding out who you are stories.
Very empowering stuff.
Yeah, and this is, but like, if you found out that your life ambition / purpose was to work as a cashier at McDonald's.
Yeah, like, but it's still funny.
Yeah, but it's not the most uplifting, and I'll be honest, some of my high school friends are Glenn. They're great guys, but some of them are working at places like Dairy Queen and Forever 21, and see that as their end goal.
Dairy Queen?
Yeah, and it just kind of makes me sad, because they had so much talent and so many prospects, and they're doing this, which I guess is kind of what happened with Glenn. Yeah, so Dairy Queen aside, it's somewhat relatable. I mean, I myself, you know me, I'm a Slytherin. That's what I got sorted into. I'm ambitious and have a lot of goals. I mean, you can tell with my line of work, which, spoiler alert, isn't this. That's not my main primary thing. But I would not be satisfied with just working there. But, you know, some of my friends from back home are. You know, power to them, I guess. Live your best life or whatever. Just, you know, that's not for me, but gotta say, he's a bit more endearing in his childlike ways rather than, you know, I'm just gonna stay here and I'm cool with that. He thinks that working at a video store is the best thing ever because it's gonna change humanity. And of course that one kiss with the girl long, long ago means that they're destined to be together.
And that's just adorable. Like, it's not creepy. That's what I find surprising. Like, it's not just weird, like, oh, he's still obsessing over her. No, it's like, because of his childlike mindset, it's more, again, it's more cute, honestly.
That first interaction where he's like, hey, remember me? And she's like, she doesn't quite remember him at first. That was great.
That was really funny, honestly.
Because he makes such a big deal out of everything, you know, and it's like the likable Peter Griffin, which means a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But now, the part I'm sure you're all waiting for, why did this only last 6 episodes? And for that matter, why did it only air for 3 weeks? Now, before we start, do you know anything about what I'm about to say?
No, I don't. You're gonna see a raw reaction here, guys.
So, can you tell me the 2 people who made the winner? Do you remember?
Seth MacFarlane and, crap, what was that? Rick Blitt?
Ricky Blitt, yeah.
Ricky Blitt, I was close.
No, I mean, his name is Rick. My name is Rick! So Ricky Blitt, for those who don't know, was one of the original head writers for Family Guy. See the connection here?
Oh boy.
So, this is going to be fact first, and then we're going to go into my theories, which seem plausible, at least from my perspective, but I'll let you know when we change. This is fact. So, Blitt had this idea way back in 2002, and he made a pilot with a completely different cast, and he pitched it to Fox, and they said no.
Oh.
And, you know, he was working on Family Guy at the time anyways. Or actually, no, wasn't Family Guy canceled at that time?
Because Family Guy was canceled around 2002, I think.
Yeah, so that would make sense. Family Guy was just ending, so he jumped ship and went here. And, you know, you'd think that being attached to Family Guy, a really popular show that Fox didn't care about at all, would help you get far, /sarcasm. But he ended up getting some more success with The 40-Year-Old Virgin, which he helped make.
Ooh.
And Family Guy's extreme popularity, which I'm sure you're aware of. You know, people buying the DVDs in droves and sending the ratings through the roof on Adult Swim.
Uploading illegal uploads on YouTube that flood the recommendations of every channel.
But that's actually the reason that Family Guy came back in the first place is that the fans were so dedicated and would not let it die. They kept trying to convince Fox to bring it back again and again and again, and they finally listened. And it came out in 2005. And 2005, that's a good year for Blitz, so he tried again, and they made a pilot with the cast we have now, albeit with a different director. And it says here in what I'm reading that it's basically because of the success of the 40-Year-Old Virgin and Family Guy that this got approved. Although Seth MacFarlane was part of it, so you kind of had to wonder if he got himself on just to make this become a reality. And here's the thing. They clearly didn't care about the show in the slightest. They barely advertised it, or at least compared to the rest. And you know how I said 2006 was a really bad year, because we got things like Justice and Happy Hour and all that.
Yeah.
Well, upon further research, The Winner came out in 2007. I mentioned this in the review, that it didn't come out for a long time. They just kind of sat on it for a while. Now, whether or not that they sat on the pilot or sat on the whole show, that I can't tell. But I can tell that at least one episode was just left there, rotting away. And then this became the dreaded mid-series pickup, or mid-season pickup, depending on where you are. And for those who don't know, that's when a show like, say, Baby Blues underperforms and doesn't meet expectations and gets canceled. They have to fill that time slot with something. So they just stuff The Winner into there. But here's the thing. Family Guy came back in 2005. Sure, it wasn't as good according to the fans, but it was still Family Guy. It was back on. Even if, say, the writing wasn't quite the same. Because, this is where it kind of went off the rails, according to the fans. But that doesn't mean it was any less successful. Family Guy was still huge, and don't forget, this is before Seth MacFarlane was the big Hollywood star that he is today. When Fox would trust him with making 60% of animation domination. This is back when he was Seth who? And he was the guy making Family Guy and running that. So they wouldn't trust him to make two shows at once. So one of them has to go. And this is where the theory comes in. This is where I'm thinking it's going. They basically did this as a courtesy to Seth MacFarlane, letting him make this show, but they clearly didn't care about it in the slightest. They already have Family Guy, and they want Seth and, I guess, Ricky Blitt, if he was still on at the time, to work on Family Guy. So what better way to make sure that he keeps his attention fully on Family Guy than get rid of the distraction? This is why there was minimal. This is why I think there was minimal promotion, and why they did the super scummy thing of airing 2 episodes in one night. And anyone can tell you, when a network does that, they want to get rid of it.
That is awful. I get it. They don't want this other thing distracting from this other show we want. But, dude, there's another co-creator you can have take the full reins.
Maybe they wanted him for Family Guy too. And look at the ratings here. It's this is bad. It's 6.3, 5.5, 6.8. This is before it was normal for, say, prime time to get 2 million viewers because of streaming and all that wiping it out. This is in the height. In 2007. And they air these, get a load of this. 8:30 p.m., 9:30 p.m., 8:30 p.m., 9:30 p.m., 8:30 p.m., 9:30 p.m.
God.
So right when people are giving up on primetime.
Why?
They don't even do the courtesy of airing it in an hour-long block. They air one, and then something else, and then they air the other.
That is abysmal. Again, those time slots, even from experience, those are when all the stuff that they don't really like to promote get aired. Not even just primetime, but just in general with other networks.
Yeah, that's where all the reruns of The Simpsons and Friends get stuff, man. This is for things that people have already seen. And hang on, yeah, Sunday too. When people are gonna want to go to work, the next day. They're not
Yeah.
going to stay up to watch some show called The Winner unless it's a big hit like, say, Modern Family. They're going to be spending time with their family or more likely watching Sunday football games that they didn't finish, talking to their friends or some other big important event.
Or sleeping.
Yeah. I mean, sure, it's like 9, but so you never know. They probably would be staying up, but who wants to watch something that they've never heard of at 9:30 at night? And there are some shows that can do really well when airing late at night. For example, adult animation, like, say, Drawn Together or South Park. If it's on a network that really cares about advertising, they'll push it to like 10 o'clock at night. But those are big shows that got a lot of attention and a lot of advertising and big, big fandoms. As we've mentioned here, nobody's heard of the show to the point where you can't find any of these episodes. There's also another theory that some people have given me, and I totally see this. This is a very scummy thing. This was the original thing I thought before I did some more research and came up with my other theory.
Okay, let's hear this.
Is that they did the thing that... Alright, so have you heard of Battlestar Galactica? I'm sure you have.
I have.
Have you heard of the 1980 edition?
I know about the 80s edition, somewhat.
So for those who aren't aware in our audience, this is mostly coming from TV Trash. Battlestar Galactica 1980, nobody wanted to work on it because of the network's terrible restrictions. So they said, if the ratings ever dip beyond this point here, you're going to be canceled. So all the crew were just chanting, waiting, going, go, 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 for the ratings to drop so they could leave. And that's why we have the infamous baseball episode.
Oh.
And I think that's kind of a reverse of what happened with The Winner, is basically Fox saying, you know, we'd rather have you work on Family Guy, so if the ratings ever stoop below this point, The Winner will be canceled, and then the first episode underperforms like this. I think it was kind of intended to be sabotaged. I mean, look at the run. March 4th to March 18th, 2007. And Seth MacFarlane kept going around saying, hey, no, we could still make more of this. It'd be great. He said that in July, too. And saying that he was going to try to fight back against Fox and get the show picked up again because he had faith in it. But they ignored him and basically said, go back to Family Guy. In fact, I'm going to check Ricky Blitz's filmography here and see when he left Family Guy, or if he ever did. So you're going to see some on-the-spot stuff right here.
Oh boy, yeah. It's already like kind of terrible right away. Like that you really get again. The networks in these cases always tend to be the ones that you really have to worry about, unless you get really lucky. This is like, and I think you were talking about this too, like this, you kind of wondered if like Nickelodeon made the show because of how horrible like this treatment was.
Yeah, I don't even get it either. Why would you go through all this effort to make a show to let it fail? Also, this is actually something else I forgot. I think there was another factor going in too. Now, I found this article on TV Guide. I think it was TV Guide. That one I sent you earlier about Happy Hour.
Yeah.
You could tell in the ad, or the article, and you can testify because you read it, they're trying to stay super neutral, but they're basically saying, this is not a good season for Fox. Like, this is going bad, this is getting preempted, Happy Hour is getting canceled.
Yeah, it was like, like, this is all, like, all this is happening, and even just reading it, like, I could tell from, like, the voice of the writing, this writer, whoever it was just, I can't, like, make this, I can't, like, sugarcoat this or make it broad for readers that probably have no idea what's going on. This is just abysmal.
So my guess is Fox was looking, okay, Justice vanished, Happy Hour, The Wedding Album, all these things are failing. Oh, and we got this other one coming up. You know, this season is just the worst. We're getting so much bad press. Let's salt the earth, so to speak, and kill off everything from this year and never look back, except till death. We'll continue to abuse that for long into the future, but that's a story for another day. When we actually review that one, trust me, it'll be Something special.
Oh yeah, we know how that went.
But basically, they're kind of thinking, oh, crap, let's bury this so no one ever remembers and we can move forward and get our reputation back. So they didn't care about the winner because they were already out the door trying to find something, anything that would be good for next season. I don't know. What do you think of that? What do you think of that theory?
That's also kind of a rational idea, but again, like it also kind of makes it more so that about the other shows, not just the winner. So like it kind of makes it seem more fair and understanding that they would want to axe all these shows just because again this was a terrible season for them. They don't want to be reminded of this and spared one show that showed somewhat of promise only to just mess it up down the line. I think it's pretty interesting when you look at it from that angle. And it makes it, again, less rage-inducing and more just, oh, well, that sucks.
Mm-hmm. And there is a sad truth to this all, that TV executives don't think with their brains or their hearts or their spleens. They think with their wallets. So if they think that advertisers are going to be scared of, investing in them or giving them ad time, especially when it was so crucial, why would they give it a chance? Why would they risk anything tainting their reputation? They've already had dud after dud after dud. Happy Hour got slammed, and there's a reason why no one remembers that one. No one bothered to save the episodes. 9 of them went unaired, and I don't think anyone's seen them. And people hated it. Vanished was seen as super generic, but it did have a cult following, but they managed to screw them over by killing off one of their favorite characters, and bam, no one cared. Justice has its own can of worms we'll get into. The Wedding album, again, got screwed over for the Wedding Bells, which also was terrible. Man, like I've been saying, 2006, the worst year for Fox. You thought it was bad when they had like Alan Gregory or the Napoleon Dynamite show. Those were a couple bad shows. But these were bombs after bombs after bombs, destroying everything in their path. It seems like Fox was so desperate that they could have accepted anything. Like if you pitched them a show about extension cords, they probably would have accepted it because at least it wasn't Happy Hour.
Oh yeah. No, I'd actually rather see a show about extension cords or a guy working at like a Home Depot.
Honestly, if Happy Hour starred an all extension cord cast, I think that'd be really good for our society. And I think it would actually be a funnier show in general.
Oh yeah. Imagine all the cord puns.
Yeah, there's like 6.
I see what you did there, man. Oh god. Okay. All right, back to the horrendousness of this whole thing. Yeah, but you'd think that because of like all these awful shows or just mediocre products that they would accept the winner with open arms. Like, okay, well, this is the one that people seem to like the most, so we'd probably save this one. But again, like the whole deal with the whole Family Guy thing, they didn't want Seth MacFarlane, I wouldn't even say working too hard. Like, it was just, they didn't want him distracted. And again, that kind of mentality is very different from looking after somebody. They're just like, oh, but we don't want you to have less time with this big money maker we have going for it. We want you to stay on that for the rest of your life.
And even Seth himself seems to be wanting to leave Family Guy.
Dude, have you seen, like, how awful the writing is now?
It's like they're trying to get canceled. And here's something I just kind of realized, too. If the winner was pitched today, there's no way it would have gotten this treatment. If you look at, say, the Orville, I don't even know if that's on anymore. Let me even check. The Orville. Yeah, so you know how Seth MacFarlane keeps making all these projects. The Orville, Ted, Bordertown, I guess, but that didn't last long at all. They trust him. They know, oh, it is still going. They know he can keep making other things. They know that he's really successful, so having his name on everything would be a big selling point. But like I mentioned earlier in this podcast, he was a rinky-dink nobody at the time. Or, I hate to use him as an example, but look at Butch Hartman. He had a little bit of experience here and there, and then he made this colossal hit, The Fairly Odd Parents, and when he did, his name started getting thrown around and people started respecting him. And so then they gave him another shot with Danny Phantom, and then another with Tough Puppy, and then another with Bunsen is a Beast. And then Oaxis, I guess, if you want to count that.
It hasn't come out yet.
I don't think it ever will. I think we'll hit 10,000 subscribers before it comes out.
Yeah, probably. Subscribe, by the way, guys.
Yeah, make that come true. Make it come true, guys, please. That's something, you know, that's kind of how it goes. You have to prove yourself and get your stripes, and at the time, Seth was known as the Family Guy guy. Family Guy was more popular than he was.
And it's kind of scary to think about, too, with how that works for networks sometimes. The show becomes more of its own entity than what created it. Kind of like a Frankenstein situation here, almost. Like, in the eyes of the networks, at least.
In a
and
way,
with
yeah.
how colossal some of these hits are, they completely take control or run rampant on their own, like, going against the creator's own freedom, if you will.
Ooh, and this was also right around the time American Dad came out, too, for the first time.
Yeah.
And while Seth
But again,
wasn't the only guy who made that, it's obviously similar enough to Family Guy so people would go, oh, this is another Family Guy show. Let's watch this. The Winner doesn't have that. It's made by Fuzzy Door, but that's about it. And if you put on from the creator of Family Guy, it'd be a lie because Ricky Blitt was the #1 dude.
Yeah, he came up with the concept in general, so...
Yeah, Seth was more of an afterthought. He kind of came on after the pitch, it seems. So you kind of can't do
he
that.
Was after
guess,
the,
you know...
Yeah, he was after that first pilot as well, like the one before the pilot we know now.
Yeah, that's right. The pilot had an entirely different everything, just Blitt. That was all that was the same. I had another thing I was going to say. I can't remember what it was now. Oh, right. So, with all those things, like I said, you know, American Dad, Family Guy, those are going to hit the same markets. But live-action sitcoms and animated ones like Family Guy may not hit the same demographic, especially because Family Guy, especially more in this time, was starting to become more quote-unquote outrageous. And The Winner wasn't that.
It was definitely more tame, kind of slice of life.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. It was it didn't feel like Family Guy, which is another thing I think why they couldn't market it as such, is because it's too different. You can't connect the two. It's like saying, hey, Matt Groening made, The Simpsons, but he also made Full House. He didn't actually make Full House, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's kind of like
entirely
those
different tones that don't mesh.
Yeah, even though, and again, like that also kind of goes into the idea that, like, I feel like networks can't, for the most part, really can't. They feel like people won't grasp a versatile creator, which I think has always been a pet peeve of mine with, like, even, like, with, well, shows like this. I can't really think of any other examples at the top of my head, but it's this restraint that really causes, again, the creators to just not try to experiment.
Yeah, we get a lot of those Dan Schneiders and Butch Hartmans that all their shows are kind of the same because that's the proven formula. Fairly Odd Parents was a big hit, so make more of that.
Yeah. Well, like, for those creators, it was more just, they couldn't really they honestly, like, kind of a hot take of mine, they don't have versatility. Unlike Seth, who's proven himself to be very versatile and has proven with, like, The Winner, even though that wasn't really all him, but...
Yeah. I mean, he's mostly versatile when people tell him no, though. That's another thing. He's got to have limits. He's got to have somebody else with him. And if he doesn't, then it falls apart.
And that's kind of what I brought up as well. I think it goes for, like, really, really good projects, even if they're like creator driven, like you still having yourself in a healthy work environment where the lead guy is not trying to control everything and has people to tell him or her, give him like suggestions or like input or anything of that sort. Like that calls for a better end product, I feel. Because if, especially for say, like George Lucas, like when he had full reins over the prequels, like it turned out to be very divisive or just outright bad to most people because he didn't have like creative partners and other crew that encouraged him to like encourage suggestions and just wanted the whole thing to just work on its own for that satisfied everybody and not just the head guy.
Yeah, and we can keep seeing time after time after time again what happens when people are left to their own devices with nobody giving their input or being able to say no and things flying off the rails. Just off the top of my head, Ren and Stimpy, Drawn Together, Star Wars, The Simpsons, Family Guy. Take a look at all that. It's a real big red flag right there, and no one seems to recognize it, you know? But, that's kind of the thing about the winners. It got screwed over. The only question is, which way did it get screwed over? There's a lot of ways that it could have possibly been, but we'll probably never know. I mean, if we can't find the other 5 episodes, I don't think we'll ever really get closure on this.
Yeah.
And trust me, I've been looking for those episodes ever since I first saw the original pilot, and nothing. All I can find are a couple articles and reviews talking about it, and that's it. I couldn't even find the pilot before the screener DVD. That's a real shame, but, that's how things go, I guess. So, before we go, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, so, I think a takeaway I'd say from this is, again, like, we keep talking about how weary any creator should be when pitching their shows to networks, or even if it gets picked up, like, you really gotta know that some of these guys are very, very unpredictable. Like, you may be given a fair chance with a full season, or you'll just have one episode air, along with maybe a few others following up, in the span of like maybe a few weeks, only to just get nothing after that because they put it on a really bad subsidiary network or a very late time when no one's tuning in. So really, if you do end up getting something on an official network, say Fox, Disney, ABC, or whatever, all that sorts, really be careful. You really never know what outcome you're going to get.
Very true, and especially if you're going to Fox, they've been known to cancel things very quickly and show favoritism. You either live forever and go stale like The Simpsons, or you die immediately like Wonder Falls, Firefly, The Winner. Just be careful if you're going to Fox.
Firefly was just tragic.
That's a story for another day. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.